What does it take to make America point nuclear weapons at a communist country? A missile crisis? An invasion? A president's assassination? No, try bad pruning. This is Operation Paul Bunyan, the Korean Tree War. Keep watching, it gets dumber. Welcome to the Joint Security Area, Panmunjom, the weirdest border on Earth. This is the DMZ, the Demilitarized Zone, which is a hilarious name because it's absolutely crawling with military. You've got North Korean soldiers here, American soldiers here, and they're not just facing each other, they're staring at each other all day, every day. It's like the world's most aggressive staring contest, and nobody's blinked since 1953. In the middle of this psychological thunderdome stands a tree, a 40-foot poplar tree. And this tree, this specific tree, is blocking the view between a UN checkpoint and something called the Bridge of No Return. Why is it called that? Because once you cross it, you don't come back. North Korea doesn't do return policies. Now, normally, this tree gets a summer trim. Routine maintenance, no big deal. You send some guys with axes, they chop some branches, everyone goes home. Except this time, someone forgot to tell North Korea that routine doesn't mean declare war. Meet Captain Arthur Boniface, 33 years old, from Newburgh, New York. He's a UN security officer, which sounds important until you realize that in the JSA, security officer means guy who can't carry a gun. That's right, the most tense border on Earth, and the rules say no weapons, just vibes. Boniface is accompanied by First Lieutenant Mark Barrett, 25 years old, from Columbia, South Carolina, also unarmed, also relying on vibes. They've got 11 UN guards, 8 Korean, 3 American, and 5 Korean civilian workers who just want to trim a tree and go home. None of them know they're about to become history. Now, Boniface has dealt with North Korean soldiers before. There's this one guy, Senior Lieutenant Pak Chul, who's basically the neighborhood Karen but with a military uniform and a personality disorder. Pak's whole thing is showing up, making insane claims, and seeing what he can get away with. And Boniface, to his credit, has always handled it. Until today. August 18th, 1976. The work crew starts cutting. Pak Chul shows up. He looks at the tree, looks at Boniface, and says, I'm paraphrasing here, but it's pretty close. You can't cut that tree. Kim Il-sung personally planted that tree. It's sacred. Touch it and die. Now, here's the thing. Kim Il-sung did not plant that tree. That tree has been there longer than North Korea has been a country. But Boniface has dealt with Pak's nonsense before. So he does what any reasonable person does when a crazy man claims a tree is holy. He ignores him and tells the crew to keep working. Pak Chul gives an order in Korean, Mikun u chi cha, translated, kill the US soldiers. And I need you to understand, this is not a drill. This is not a threat. This is a 5'6" North Korean lieutenant ordering the murder of American officers over branches. 20 more North Korean soldiers arrive in a truck. They're not carrying guns. Guns would be too obvious. They're carrying crowbars, clubs, and here's the kicker. They grab the work crew's own axes and metal picks. The Americans brought gardening tools to a border dispute. The North Koreans turned them into murder weapons. Pak strikes first. Boniface goes down. 5 soldiers swarm him. Axes, knives, 30 seconds. Captain Arthur Boniface is dead. Barrett runs. They chase him. They catch him. They beat him to death with their bare hands and his own equipment. First Lieutenant Mark Barrett is dead. 9 UN guards injured. The North Koreans, 0 casualties. They brought 20 guys, murdered 2 unarmed officers, and left without a scratch. This is not a battle. This is an execution with landscaping equipment. Now, imagine you're Gerald Ford. It's 1976. You're already having a bad year. You pardoned Nixon, the economy's garbage, and now North Korea just murdered 2 of your guys with gardening tools. You want to bomb them. Your national security advisor, Henry Kissinger, definitely wants to bomb them. But you're also trying not to start World War III over a tree that may or may not have been planted by a guy who claims he invented the hamburger. So you go with the next best thing. Overwhelming, ridiculous, completely unnecessary force. DEFCON 3. That's one step from nuclear war. The first time since the Yom Kippur War in 1973. Every U.S. military base in Korea goes to full combat readiness. But you're not stopping there. You deploy the USS Midway. That's an aircraft carrier with destroyers and a nuclear submarine. You park it off the coast of North Korea like a floating threat. You send B-52 bombers from Guam, nuclear-capable, flying along the DMZ, close enough that Kim Il-sung can probably smell the jet fuel. F-4 Phantoms, F-111s, C-130 gunships, Hawk missile batteries aimed at Pyongyang. And just in case things get spicy, you rig your own base, Camp Liberty Bell, with explosives. If the North Koreans overrun it, you blow it up yourself. Scorched earth, literally. This is not a proportional response. This is not an eye for an eye. This is you looked at me wrong, so I'm bringing the entire United States military to a tree fight. Kim Il-sung puts his military on full alert. Pyongyang holds air raid drills. The Soviet Union and China are watching, sweating, wondering if the Americans are actually going to go nuclear over 2 dead guys and a poplar tree. 72 hours. That's how long the world teeters on the edge, all because nobody could agree on whose job it was to trim the tree. August 21st, 1976. 6:30 a.m. Operation Paul Bunyan, named after the mythical lumberjack, because when you're about to fight a war over a tree, you might as well commit to the bit. The force, 813 troops, American and South Korean. 23 armored vehicles, M48 Patton tanks, 27 helicopters, 20 for transport, 7 Cobra attack helicopters, because apparently we need air support for gardening. B-52s overhead, the USS Midway offshore, and somewhere in this military circus, a few guys with chainsaws. You know, the actual tree-cutting equipment. The plan? Cut down the tree in 42 minutes while pointing enough firepower at North Korea to make them think twice about interrupting. Here's the beautiful part. US troops inside the JSA, they're carrying blank rounds. That's right. If the North Koreans attack, the Americans' first response is to make loud noises and hope the South Koreans, who are carrying live ammunition and clubs, handle it. This is hold my beer diplomacy. The M728 Combat Engineer Vehicle, that's a tank with a bulldozer blade and a 165mm howitzer, points its cannon at the Bridge of No Return. The bridge is rigged with explosives. If the North Koreans try to cross, we blow the bridge. Then probably nuke them. Then definitely write a strongly worded letter. 150 to 200 North Korean soldiers show up. They watch for 5 minutes. They literally cannot believe what they're seeing. They set up firing positions, but they don't fire. They just watch as 813 men, 27 helicopters, nuclear bombers, and an aircraft carrier protect 3 guys with chainsaws. 42 minutes. The tree comes down. They leave a 20-foot stump as a message, or maybe just because they got tired. It's not clear. 0 shots fired. 0 casualties. The most expensive, over-engineered, completely ridiculous tree trimming in human history. And it worked. Same day, Kim Il-sung, the guy who claims he invented the hamburger and never poops, sends a message through the Military Armistice Commission. Quote, "It was a good thing that no big incident occurred at Panmunjom. However, it is regrettable that an incident occurred. An effort must be made so that such incidents may not recur in the future." That's not an apology. That's a guy who just watched an aircraft carrier show up to a tree fight and decided he maybe didn't want to play anymore. Regrettable, like he forgot to send a birthday card, not like he ordered the murder of 2 guys. 5 days later, the US and North Korea agree to a permanent barrier in the JSA. No more free movement, no more staring contests across open ground. The Bridge of No Return closed. They build a new bridge in 72 hours, still there today. Camp Liberty Bell gets renamed Camp Boniface. The new bridge gets named Barrett Memorial Bridge. The tree stump gets a monument with the names of the dead and injured. And somewhere in a North Korean museum, probably, those axes are displayed as war trophies.
gardening tools as war trophies. So, what did we learn? First, never bring an axe to a gunfight unless you're North Korea and the other guy isn't allowed to have guns. Second, if you want to win a diplomatic dispute, bring enough military hardware to make the other guy question his life choices. And third, sometimes the dumbest reasons for war are the ones we should take most seriously, because humans will find a way to escalate literally anything. Also, if you're ever in charge of trimming a tree near a hostile border, maybe call ahead. Save everyone a lot of trouble. If you enjoyed watching America almost start World War III over landscaping, hit subscribe. I've got more stories about stupid reasons for war, and trust me, they don't get smarter. Leave a comment with your favorite part. Was it the chainsaws, the nuclear bombers, the guy who claims he invented the hamburger? And if you think your friends need to see this, share it. History is weird. Someone should talk about it. That someone is me. See you next time.